Jeff has tried for weeks for me not to have a chance to talk football, so we decided to get a guest to specifically talk Eagles football so that he cannot get through a show and say, I almost made it. Let's bring a friend of the show, Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro, and a special friend. What's up, Dave?
Yes, this is my son Leon the Pug, and
Leon the Pug.
he is also very excited about this weekend's game. How are you guys doing?
We're good. Look,
Good.
winning cures everything. Leon the Pug and you are celebrating 3 wins in a row. Talk to us about, flying back from Cincinnati after that good win the other day.
It's a good question because generally I would say that there's no difference between wins and losses, and that the mood is the same. But there was definitely some extra juice after that win against the Bengals, and it was because it was the first time the Eagles have played a really good 60-minute game against a good football team, and I think ultimately the Bengals will be a very good football team. And they did it. They came out and they made Joe Burrow work really hard. That he came from behind, and they what a boy. And they
For our listeners, his pug is like all of us Dave right now.
And they just played a solid game that you kind of expected all season. And it was going into it, we'd all talked about it for so many days. This is going to be a game that really tell how good the Eagles are. And if that's the case, then this team's going to be around. And I think everybody knew that on the flight back, and everybody felt really good about the performance in all three phases.
See, what I think Dave's doing here is much like the coach. He's got somebody in his lap to make sure that we don't ask a tough question.
Look at you.
We have our children. We have our children in our lap. But this is one I just can't control. I'm at home right now, so he's not letting me go.
Well, he is adorable, much like you. So Dave, what do you think was the turnaround that changed it for, because it seemed like all three phases of the team played a lot better?
I think the turnaround was the bye week. And I think the turnaround was an opportunity for everybody to kind of sit back and go, what is going wrong here? Why are we not playing well? Let's take a deep breath and understand that we've got a lot of season to go, and that this is a good football team. Everybody felt coming out of training camp this would be a really good football team, and they just didn't play that consistently in those first 4 games. So I really believe that stepping back and then having games against the Browns and the Giants, where the Browns game wasn't the greatest game, but the Eagles came out with a victory. They needed it very much. And then the Giants game, they pulled away, something they hadn't done in a long time. First double-digit margin of victory in over a full season. And then this one, I think they're playing with confidence right now. I think that the way they handled situational football in Cincinnati was really important. I think Jalen Hurts gaining comfort in the offense. Look, I think everything goes through the quarterback, and I think at the end of the day, if Jalen Hurts is playing great football, the Eagles are going to be in great shape. And that's the same with every team. And he's playing great football right now. No turnovers in 3 games, knocking on wood. Making good decisions, running when he's got the opportunity. He looks fast again in the backfield, and the offense has been healthier with AJ Brown back. They've overcome some injuries up front. Saquon Barkley's been a rock. Defense has come alive. So the Eagles have, hopefully, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. We've got a really tough stretch of games coming up, but we'll see if this team indeed has found itself.
This may be a short answer by you, but I can't help but think that going to Brazil kind of knocked them off their heels at the beginning of the season, made it harder to start the season. What was your thought?
Yeah, I mean, when you look back and you go, all right, that was a Friday night game in Brazil, and then you came back for a Monday game at home. So you had a long break, very weird, flat performance against Atlanta, 1:00 game against New Orleans on the road, dominant defensive performance, and then another 1:00 game on the road again. It's always just kind of bouncing around, and they just didn't find their groove. And I think you might have some relevance there. The Packers certainly would agree. I mean, they've kind of been bumping along the same way, albeit with their quarterback injured. But you like to play a steady diet and get into a rhythm, get into a cadence. Eagles really weren't able to do that early in the season. But I mean, I can't use any excuses. Every team goes through a really odd period of time of scheduling in a 17-game season. I just don't think the Eagles had really kind of understood who they were. 2 new coordinators, a bunch of new personnel. It seems to be the familiarity seems to really be settling in now.
It seems like people are starting to figure out their roles better too. I mean, you look at the defensive improvement since coming off the bye, they've allowed just 643 yards in this 3-game win streak. That's the second fewest they've allowed since 92. They've allowed just 29 points in the last 3 weeks. So you look at the improvement on defense. I want to ask you about the young guys, Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell. I mean, that's exciting. You've got young defensive backs, secondary out there making an impact and changing the game. Can you talk about their development?
I agree 1,000%. They have added energy, they've added speed, athleticism. You know, young usually wins out in sports, right? I mean, they're mature. You know, for Quinion Mitchell to step in and be a starter on day one is pretty impressive. For Cooper DeJean to miss 3 weeks of training camp, play just a little bit in the preseason finale, and then 4 weeks into the season, he's all of a sudden going to be a part of the defense, and then to come from that point to this point, only a few games later, is extremely, extremely encouraging. They are both ballers. They are giving the Eagles a new dimension in the defensive backfield. They're only going to get better. They love the game. They have made a huge difference. And it's been so long since the Philadelphia Eagles have had that kind of instant impact from their rookies. And, it's not just been them on special teams. Jeremiah Trotter has done a really nice job. Jalix Hunt is the special teams leader and has gotten a sack. So, I mean, this rookie class will ultimately have a chance to be really, really, really special, I think.
And you talk about the need for time to develop. I mean, you've got Nolan Smith now, 3 sacks in the last 3 weeks. He had just one in his first 21 games. So you talk about the development, and it looks like they kind of changed their approach a little bit on the rush. You see more 2 hands in the ground a little bit with Bryce Huff. Are you seeing a difference in how the defensive line is approaching this? It's allowing the linebackers in the secondary to do their job better.
Yeah, I think Vic Fangio has that goes back to kind of the coordinators knowing the personnel a little bit better, little wide nine, maybe, lining up a little bit on the other side, the other shoulder of the offensive tackle, giving players like Nolan and Bryce Huff and, Josh Sweat, who stands up quite a bit, a little bit different angle to attack the offensive linemen. And I think the Eagles have done a good job on first and second down, putting quarterbacks in third and long situations. So that helps as well. And when you play with a lead, it makes all the difference. And the one thing the Eagles haven't done is score points in the first quarter. But last week, they were able to score in their first drive. They kept it close. They tied the game at halftime. So it changes the complexion and it changes the way you play defense. You're playing aggressively. I just feel like the defensive front has been much, much, much more aggressive. They've used the rotation really well. Brandon Graham has played effectively in his 15 or 20 snaps a game.
He makes a play every game, every single
He
game.
does. Yeah, he makes a play. He makes a play. Right, and that's his. I think everybody kind of worried that the 15th season, the Eagles franchise record 15th season, was going to be like this, farewell tour, shake hands, kiss babies, and bye bye into the sunset. But in fact, Brandon's been a really key contributor. So that is a positive. So I love what they've done. I think I think the best is yet to come with players like Bryce Huff and Jalix Hunt and, just getting everyone comfortable in the defense. So we'll see. Sunday against Jacksonville, they run the ball pretty well. They've got some talent back there. The quarterback runs the ball well. And then you've got this gauntlet of games that I think we'll really, really find out about the Eagles.
Dave, you talked about the defense. To me, part of the defense getting better is the offense. You now have a running game in Saquon Barkley to when you do have a lead, you can now run. When you do have an offense that gets tired a little bit, you have somebody that can run and keep the drive alive, keep the defense off the field, and keep them fresh.
Shaq to say that.
How much of an impact is Saquon Barkley having on this entire team?
Oh my gosh. We heard all the stories about Saquon and what a difference he was going to make, and when you see him in person, you go, he's perfect. Like he certainly made mistakes. The drop pass against the Falcons, he owned it. He owned it. I think that was a really key moment for him and for this football team, being accountable. That's one of the core values of the head coach Nick Sirianni. But what Saquon does is he pounds, and then all of a sudden he's got a 55-yard run. He's so durable. He's so strong. He's so smart. He's got great vision. The feet. I mean, he is the complete running back. He had the touchdown catch against the Packers that was sensational in the corner of the end zone. It's an interesting question in this perspective. This weekend, the Eagles will induct LaShawn McCoy, the franchise's all-time leading rusher, into the Hall of Fame Sunday at halftime against Jacksonville. So to have another, and I believe that LaShawn will someday be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. To have another superstar running back in town and to see the impact he makes, I think he's changed everything. I think what Cincinnati tried to do last week was pack the box, stop Saquon, make him earn every yard, which they did. And they forced Jalen Hurts to win from the pocket. And Jalen was responded to that. And I think that if you're a defense, your first priority is going to be to stop Saquon Barkley. And that puts the onus on Jalen Hurts. And we saw last week that opens up the field for him. So Saquon has been everything that you could ever imagine the best running back in the NFL could be right now. I mean, I know Derrick Henry's having a great season. I know Christian McCaffrey's been hurt, but he's also a great player. Bijan Robinson, terrific. But Saquon, just for everything he brings on the field, off the field, leadership in the locker room, work ethic, example, and then what he does in his production. Been around the Eagles for 30 years and have seen a lot of great ones, and he's right up there with all of them.
You know, the Eagles are 5-2 right now, and they still have 5 out of the 6 potential games in division to go. How important is it that they have all of that in front of them?
Yeah, I mean, you have to win your division first to get into the playoffs. That's the way every team approaches it. The division is interesting, to say the least, with the Washington Commanders riding the talents of Jaden Daniels and understanding that is the energy that they're playing from is coming from a rookie. And it's really exciting to see. And I'm happy for Washington fans. And it'll be a great game in a couple of weeks when the Eagles host them. But, you know, Dallas has been up and down. The Giants are really struggling. So I think the Eagles believe that this is the class of the division, and you go out and you win those 5 games, and you're in great shape. I mean, this is a team that's already got 5 wins. You start counting now. You start counting wins to 12 or 13. You know that if you get there, you're in the postseason. It used to be that you'd try to get a bye week. You'd have the first 2 teams get a bye, and only one team gets a bye week now. So you want to win the division, get a home playoff game, hopefully get a bye week, which is certainly not on a play right now, and then, you know, Katie bar the door. But it all starts with winning the NFC East, and it's been a wacky, wild, weird NFC East as usual. And I will remind you, there has been no repeat winner in the division since the Eagles won in the 2003-2004 seasons. Since then, it's been a different team every single season.
It's amazing.
You know, we talk about the challenging schedule, but no games left against top 10 defenses, and half of the remaining games are against bottom 5 defenses. So it is an opportunity for the offense to continue developing as they get healthier. You know, hopefully Mailata will come back, Dallas Goedert will come back. They've done this with significant injuries, either AJ at the start of the season or the offensive line. Can you talk about the gelling of the offense? I mean, I love seeing a fullback out there. When's the last time we've seen a fullback on an Eagles offense?
Leonard Weaver, back in early 2000s. Yeah, I mean, I think
that.
Yeah,
I love that you just pulled that right out of your head.
I think I don't know much else, but I know about the Eagles. The offense has great talent and great, you know, the depth. We've seen a kid named Fred Johnson who's been discarded by the Bengals and the Steelers in Tampa Bay come to Philadelphia and earn his roster spot a couple of years ago and get a little contract extension through this year. And all of a sudden he's starting at right tackle one game, left tackle another game. He was great last week against Trey Hendrickson, who's a dynamic pass rusher. So the Eagles have played really well with injuries up front. And then Dallas Goedert goes down. Grant Calcaterra comes in and makes plays in the offense. So very, very excellent show of depth by this team. That's encouraging. It's a long season. There's going to be more injuries to every team. So this is a 53-man roster, a 17-man practice squad, and then some. So I think everybody's feeling quite encouraged by the way things are going offensively.
You know, the Eagles seem generally healthy or getting there, while other teams seem to be suffering injuries. Is there something about the way that the Eagles practice their team, or is this just dumb luck?
Jeffrey, I will respectfully tell you that I'm not going to answer anything like that. I am extremely superstitious. I think it is all. It is It is a lot. There's a lot of luck involved.
Okay, so meet Mr. Mush. Okay. Jeff is literally, he has an ability. He did it all through
Not
the
injuries,
season.
to be fair.
Not injuries,
Okay.
but like plays. He would say, "Oh, they have a no hitter going," and immediately the no hitter would be given up, or
Exactly.
and immediately a home run. So I appreciate you not taking the bait and talking about that, because we don't need to put a hex on anything. But there'll be a lot of energy in the building this weekend. You talked about LaShawn's number being retired.
Yep.
Doug coming back, the Kelly Greens. The Jaguars are coming in kind of limping. They traded their left tackle. They've got injuries to their wide receivers. They're allowing 30th in the league in terms of points per drive. Talk about the opportunity the Eagles have to continue the momentum this weekend at home with the Jaguars going into that schedule.
Yeah, getting to 6-2 would be so huge. And you think about kind of the mood after the Eagles' last home game against Cleveland, an unimpressive 20-16 victory or whatever the score was. And you go, man, things have changed in a matter of 3 weeks. And a convincing win on Sunday, I think, would get everybody understanding that this football team is really heading in the right direction on the way to Dallas after that. And then Washington comes in after that. And then it's like, the Rams, and down the line is Baltimore, and like and the Steelers. And so there's some really tough games here, but you've got to win what's right in front of you. And let's see if the Eagles are focused, ready to play their best football, not playing down to the level of a Jacksonville Jaguars team that is 2-6, yes, but they've lost 3 games in the last 18 seconds, 2 at the buzzer. They're not as bad as the record would indicate. So they've got a young franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. They've got some really good running backs. They've got some pass rushers. And Doug is coming in and he wants to win. And they're desperate. They're a desperate football team at 2-6. So, but an impressive win. I mean, this team has practiced well this week. This team seems focused. Let's go out and play an energetic game on Sunday late afternoon. Make it a party down there. Kelly Green, LaShawn McCoy, and I think everybody will feel great at being 6-2.
All right. Last question I have. I'm putting you on the rules committee. Explain to me, or tell me what you would do if there was a face mask in the end zone. Replay, no replay. Because to me, it seems it's a scoring play.
Absolutely. Where did I just see that? Was that
Minnesota?
Yeah, Minnesota game, right? Yeah. I thought it was University of Colorado. Go Buffs. And Deion's doing. I was kind of mocking Deion before the season. He's done a really nice job.
I am shocked as well.
They have so much talent. Gosh. Yeah, I think you have to you have to replay that. It's ridiculous. It's insane. There's been too many. There in the Dallas Giants game early in the season, there was a penalty called, a face mask penalty that was called on the Giants when it was the Giants player who was face masked, and it set the Giants back, and then they kicked a field goal instead of scoring a touchdown, and the Cowboys won a close game. So there's got to be some modification to things. I think they're getting there. I don't want it all automated. I like the element of human error, but you just use some common sense, guys. When you blatantly miss a call, that's got to be subject to review.
And it's a scoring play.
So, and all scoring plays are supposed to be
reviewed.
Yeah,
that's what I didn't understand.
Yeah,
I thought that it's review, but I guess they can't review the face mask in a scoring play. Like
I'm the expert, and I was puzzled by that as well. So,
well, if you don't know, I don't feel bad.
Yeah, it just made no sense to me. When I run into let's table that. We have officials who come by. When I see some on Sunday, I'll ask them, and then next time I do a show with you guys, let's put that on the table, and we'll have that.
All right.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Look,
all three old guys going to remember that. I think the chances are very minimal. Unless you actually write that down.
I'm going to make a note. That's how I remember anything. I'm to the point where I don't remember my name.
He won't remember where he kept the note, but he'll make the note.
I'll forget where the note is. Dave Spadaro, let's keep the winning going so we can keep laughing and having fun. Thanks for giving us time, man.
Thank you, guys. And Leon says thanks for his debut and look forward to more appearances.
We will publicize him regularly.
Thanks, guys.